Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna. If this is your first time joining me, thank you so much for being here. The universe has guided you to this information, and that's because likely there is something in this transmission that will help you connect with yourself a little bit more, a little bit better, so that you can express your own uniqueness into the world. I would love for you to share this information with another if you find this information helpful. The more individuals, I believe, that allow themselves to express their true potential, their true uniqueness, then I feel the world will be filled with a lot more love, compassion, and kindness towards one another. So thank you for being here. I hope you stay. I would love for you to help me support this channel by clicking like button or subscribing and clicking the notification button. It tells you when I upload new information. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy what you hear. For those of you who are returning, thank you so much for being a supporter of this channel. This channel is all about helping us raise our own individual frequency so that hopefully the collective frequency will rise as a result, thus changing the collective consciousness of humanity. Today's transmission is going to be about your uniqueness, what makes you you. And I have 3 piles that I will go through in a moment. But first, what I'd like to do is I'd like to share with you what came through channel writing just a few moments before I turned on the camera. And I believe this message is going to be important for everyone, if you are listening to this. So let me share this with you. What is unique to you is likely a gift to another or many others. The idea behind being unique lies in the understanding that your uniqueness is unlimited. It, however, assumes a certain shape or a quality that is expressed uniquely through you. And in order to express your uniqueness, you have to accept this awesome aspect about you. Confronting your own shadow aspect that limits this uniqueness from being shared with the world is a practice that requires a lot of attention from you. In other words, until you confront your own shadow aspect, which limits your uniqueness from being expressed fully and wholeheartedly, you will always try and make yourself be like somebody else. Yet where is the uniqueness in that? If your own uniqueness was not serving you, then you would not be created as a unique individual. Nothing in life is meaningless. Everything serves a higher purpose. So does your uniqueness serve the greater whole? Your job is to allow this uniqueness to flow through you in ways that is unobstructed by your limited view of you. Belonging is a state that you feel when you are being uniquely you, without trying to pretend that which you are not. Pretending to be someone you are not will never truly satisfy you, because the act of pretending simply means that you are not being you, and that always feels very constraining and restricting to your soul. Purpose is something you begin to realize when you are fully in oneness with yourself wholeheartedly and wholly. Your very essence of magnificence relies on you being fully and uniquely you. Pause for a moment and ask yourself this question. What is my purpose? What is unique about me, and how can I share this uniqueness with the world? No apologies are necessary for being you, for the Creator never apologizes for having created the magnificent, unique you. Be the self that you came here to be, without constrictions and limitations, for this is where you will find the peace and sense of belonging you are yearning to feel. Constrictions equals shadows. Your shadows limit your uniqueness. Therefore, it is of paramount importance that you allow yourself to face your shadows today in order to become less restricted and share your uniqueness with the world. This is what the Creator wants from you. You just being you and fully expressing your individual uniqueness in whatever shape or form it wants to be expressed. You are loved fully and unconditionally just for being you. You are more than enough just as you are. So I hope this transmission, this channeled writing has given you something to think about. Perhaps has given you a moment to pause and to begin to question some of your limitations without trying to analyze what I just read. I will say that repeatedly the idea of facing our shadows is something that seems to be the theme here. And of course, our shadow aspects are aspects of ourselves we deny, hide from, or pretend that they're not there. And shadows limit, restrict, and often hide our uniqueness. So let me go through each pile and see what messages universe has for you in order so that you can fully express your own uniqueness, your own unlimited, powerful, beautiful, extraordinary you. Whatever pile you are drawn to, there is likely a message there for you, though you may be drawn to all three piles, and likely because there is a message in each pile for you. But I always say, whatever you hear, whatever comes through me, through this transmission, whatever you feel in terms of frequency in your body will often, always, I would say, tell you whether something resonates with you or not. If you would like to see what's coming up for you for 2023, I have over 12 and a half hours of predictions for each zodiac sign. The link is below. For those of you who already got them and send me your comments, thank you so much. Your comments are extremely valuable because it tells me that this is working. And most of the time, what I channel makes no sense to me, right? So thank you so much for your feedback. So I'm going to go through each pile. I'm going to start with pile number 1, and let's see what messages the universe has for you. If you're drawn to pile number 1, the first message you have is between two worlds. Although this message landed in reverse, I'm going to tune into this frequency and get more information what this message wants to give to you. As the picture depicts, you are between two worlds. Whenever I see the symbol of a turtle, it always symbolizes to me an aspect of inner safety. And likely you are at the point of your life right now where you are transitioning from being unsafe inside into a higher frequency that will allow you to feel more safety within. And whenever we don't feel safe, we are likely not going to fully express our uniqueness. And when we feel not safe, it is always because it's rooted in some sort of deep, limited, fearful, or fear-based conditioning. You might be in a situation right now where you are wanting to come out of a certain vibration, a certain situation, a certain role you are playing, but you're not sure about how to go about it. And what this is showing me is that you are likely in a position to relieve yourself from your old constraints in order to step more fully into your own inner power. And if you've ever listened to any of my messages, transmissions, you will probably notice that I talk a lot about empowerment a lot. And that's because at the end of the day, my job, my own unique ability is here to serve you in order to help you embody more of your true power without constraints, or at least with less constraints. And the type of constraints that I'm talking about is the type of constraints that have been put on you, but now you're putting these constraints on yourself. You are limiting yourself in some way, shape, or form. And we all do it. There's no judgment around it. It is part of our human condition. And majority of human population, as far as I can tell, and also from the sources that I've been getting information from, including other people and books, majority of human condition vibrates in a shadow space. And shadow is always based in fear. It's rooted in fear. And a lot of our conditioning is rooted in fear. And fear, as we know, is very restrictive. It's very restricting. So the more we live in fear, the more we live in shadow, the more we live in shadow, the less of our true uniqueness we will be able to express into the world. And as the channeled material was stating, your own uniqueness serves a greater purpose. These are gifts, aspects of you that are unique to you, that you have brought with you into this world. And because you've brought these unique aspects of you into this world, then it also means that you've brought them in order to be shared with the world. So if you have a lot of unique abilities, but you are holding yourself back because you believe that you are not worthy, you are not deserving, or plethora of other things we tell ourselves, then you can have the most amazing gifts and the most powerful gifts in the world. You will not allow yourself to express them and therefore share with the world, and therefore the world will not be able to benefit from unique gifts and abilities. So pile number one, you have a lot of unique gifts you brought with you, but you are not allowing them to surface. And the question is why? Now I hear someone saying to me, I don't know what my gifts are. And here's what I want to say to you. First and foremost, you are a gift. You yourself, as you are, complicated or uncomplicated or everything in between, you are a gift to the world. And if you were not a gift to the world, you would not be here and you would not be created. So if you're asking yourself the question, what are my gifts? First and foremost, recognize and accept that you yourself are a gift to this world. And that may be difficult for some of you to hear, especially if you have been used to keeping yourself down, beating yourself up, thinking of yourself as, oh, I'm just a person. You're not just a person. You are part of the divine. And you never hear people say to the divine, oh, you're just a divine. So, pile number one, there is an essence here that speaks about you accepting your own uniqueness. And again, as the channel material was speaking, unless you accept your own uniqueness, you cannot fully accept and love you. And because you are between two worlds right now, because you are in a transition, this is showing me that you are in a very opportune space in your life right now, whereby looking in the mirror and facing your shadows, you can bring out those unique gifts through you and out of you into the world. So that's message number one. Message number two is devotion, and here's what it says. Stay connected to the divine. Pray, express your gratitude, or ask for help out loud. Make the practice of devotion your daily habit. Maybe one of the things you want to ask yourself, what does that mean to me? What does it mean to stay connected to the divine? Well, one of the interpretations that I would like to share with you is that for me, the idea of staying connected to the divine is me staying connected to my heart, staying connected to my beingness, which cannot happen without acceptance. So if you are not in full acceptance of yourself, with your ego and faults and shadows and all of that, then you are not an integrated being. And if you are not an integrated being, there is absolutely no way you will ever experience the feeling of feeling whole. And whole you are already. That's not missing from you. You may not see yourself that way, and that's because the version of you that you are practicing is limited by the shadows that you are still holding on to. So it is important for you, pile number one, for anyone, but for pile number one especially, to acknowledge some of the shadows that are working underneath your awareness. And you can recognize your shadows by triggers. When you are triggered by a certain situation or by a certain person, very likely this trigger is showing you that there's a shadow aspect that wants to perhaps be released and relieved out of you. Okay? Financial and material changes. You are literally in the midst of change. You are in a position, or will be very shortly, to choose. And this is going to affect your 3D experience. But if you choose based on fear, if you let your shadow choose for you, then you are not really choosing freely. You are choosing from a space of being constrained and limited. And that is not where you ultimately want to be. Because feeling constricted is essentially the same as being bound and not able to freely express yourself. So if you are feeling like you are bound, like you are stuck, like you are constricted or restricted in some way, then rather than looking towards the outside and changing the outside to make you feel less restricted, you need to look at the inside and the belief system that makes you feel these restrictions or makes you feel like you are being restricted. Okay? Here's the message I want to say, I want to give to you. Not everyone is on your side right now with regards to the decisions you're wanting to make. That is okay. You are not here to prove anything to anybody. Heck, you're here to prove you to yourself. And if you are being guided to make choices and decisions based on other people's approval of you or in order to appease others, then you are choosing from a very constricted and limited space. And that is not what Creator wants from you. That's not ultimately what your soul wants from you either. Your soul would like you to express yourself fully and without apologies. So if you're in a position right now where you are shifting gears, you are moving out of a certain confinement, and there are certain people saying to you things like, oh my God, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? You have it so good. It is not your responsibility to validate it's not your responsibility to validate your decisions to others. It is not your responsibility to seek approval from others in order to make certain decisions that will ultimately make you happy. But if you are in this space, and chances are you are, or will be very shortly, it may actually come to you around the month of May, April, May. There will be people or those around you who will put in their 2 cents, and their 2 cents are going to be playing into your shadow, into your restriction. Whenever we make choices, especially big choices and decisions in our lives, this is the theme for you, pile number 1. Sometimes we're unsure because we are stepping out of something that is known to something that is not known, especially if that something has a quality of being our support, financial support, commitments, things like that. It is important that you surround yourself with people who care about you enough to support you in whatever decision that you are making, as long as you're not hurting yourself, obviously, or other people. I'm noticing the throat too, which I'll speak to in a moment. It's very important to surround yourself with people who have your best interest at heart, and not just people who will give their 2 cents based on their limited views and beliefs. That's really, really important. Often in these situations, it is helpful to seek guidance from a person that is not emotionally connected with you, that someone who is not emotionally invested in your decision-making process, because that way they are likely to give you guidance that is going to help you to make the right choice or right decision for you, because they have nothing to lose in the process. They're just a bystander. Okay? So that is what I have for you, pile number 1. Oh, thank you. I'm being asked to talk about this throat thing. You might be at this time having difficulty expressing your beliefs about your decisions that you are making or about to be making in the next little while. Your job is to speak your truth confidently, but gently. Don't beat people over the head with your truth. Again, your job is not to make them understand. Your job is not to make them believe what you believe is true to you. Your job is to stay true to you as best as you can without compromising yourself in the process. Okay? So that's what I have for you, pile number 1. Hello, pile number 2. Let's see what we have for you. Before I look at the cards, what I'm getting is that you are likely shifting gears in terms of how you express yourself in a workplace. It feels like you are changing places, as if something outside of you is grabbing your attention and is placing you in a different space. That's how I want to say it. It's like this invisible force is taking you out of where you are and placing you in a new environment. So if this is the case for you, it might come as a surprise to you. It may It may show itself as an example. You are in a job, in a certain career, and you're doing your thing, and all of a sudden a whole bunch of changes happen, and your position moves you somewhere else, or your position is moved somewhere else, or that position no longer exists, and life puts you in a different place, in a different situation. And whatever that is for you, if this resonates with you, it very much feels like this is where you're supposed to be now. Now, I'm saying the word supposed to in quotation marks because you're not supposed to do anything, but it feels like your entire guidance system, your own soul, your intuition, your guides and angels are guiding you, or literally placing you in a space that feels more like it's your life's purpose. Some of you might be expecting this, and maybe you have been wishing for it, but for some of you, this is going to come almost as a shock. Unexpected shock, not in a bad way, but there's some unexpectancy about this, and it may feel momentarily like you're not sure what's happening, but very shortly after, you're going to find yourself in a new space. I'm seeing the month March, so this is recorded at the beginning of February. You might experience this around March. You may have experienced this last March, although it doesn't feel like that's the case. It's more March coming up, or within the next 3 weeks or 3 months is what I'm getting. I want to say the next 3 months. So if this doesn't make sense to you right now, because you are where you are, but you have been hoping, wishing that the universe would create something different for you, don't be surprised, mark my words, because I feel if you're drawn to pile number 2, this is very, very, very likely to happen. If not in the next 3 months, then I will say 98% by the end of this year. Okay? Your job is to, and whatever this is, it has an element of being financially stable. So if you are plucked from one situation and the universe puts you somewhere else, it feels like there is financial stability for extended period of time. Okay? So this could also mean that you are looking to change the way you express yourself in terms of making a living. And you are literally changing the field. So you might be working in one field, let's say banking system, and now you're moving into a different field that's, let's say, health oriented somehow. It's a shift in the type of field you are going into. And that's why I feel for some of you, this is going to feel a little bit unexpected. But even if it's unexpected, you've had it in the back of your mind for quite some time. For some of you, as long as 10 years. You've been hoping for something different for yourself for as long as 10 years. This does not feel like a relationship. It could be, but this 97%, this is feeling like a situation around career or a job, or the type of position you have been fulfilling up until this point. So your position is changing. Also, your position in an organization is changing. Position in a organization, so you might be moving up as a result of this shift, because there's some fluctuations right now with where you're going, with where you are, and it's placing you in a different environment. And whatever it is, it's a good move for you. Though at the beginning, you may not be so sure. It's just because it's a new territory for you. So that's the first message I get. Okay, we have a confirmation. The card is called Exploration. Literally, the message is explore your world. Your path is being cleared in front of you. However, in order to experience this path, you have to step on it. and you're kind of sort of on the side, and you are being held back by themes around chakra number 3 and chakra number 2. What does that mean? Well, for one, it is essentially showing us that there is some shadow work to be done at this point of your life in order to step onto this path, or step more, or not to be so afraid to stepping onto this path. And they're telling me this path is slowly being revealed. Okay, notice the path is illuminated. It leads to a lightness, a certain level of lightness, but at first it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, and I'm hearing that this is a huge opportunity coming for some of you, and it literally is going to feel for some of you like it's sheer luck. You are stepping onto this new path that is symbolized to me by the word freedom, whether it's financial freedom, emotional, mental, spiritual freedom. There's a sense of purpose, and there's a sense of freedom, and you're being guided. You are absolutely being guided, but you need to face some of your shadows and your fears. So chakra number 3 is your solar plexus. It's all to do with our ego. This is this is the portal through which we express our power or hold our power back. So there is some holding of your power back indicated in chakra number 3 and chakra number 2. And this will, and I'm hearing the words mother issues. So we all have mother issues, or many people do. Okay, I'm going to explore that. For some of you, your mother was very inconsistent with how she was feeling towards you. Maybe she played a little bit of the Jekyll and Hyde. Maybe she was warm and hot, cold and hot. It feels like the expression of a mother-like individual in your life left you feeling unsure about yourself. And this is a shadow right now. It's coming up a shadow right now. And this shadow is absolutely limiting or blocking your creativity. And creativity is not painting. Creativity is creating life. In order to fully and wholeheartedly step into this path and feel confident that you're going to be able to do it, you have to address those 2 chakras. Okay, that's really important. By the way, if you haven't got your 2023 predictions, which I haven't done them in about 2.5 years or 3 years, so it's the first time I've done them in about 3 years. They're almost all of them are over an hour each, and they literally talk about the type of stuff that you will be facing in order for you to more fully and more wholeheartedly express your true self. So if you haven't got those yet, there's a link down below. I feel it's going to serve you in helping communicate more messages that are specifically designed for you being on your path right now. Okay, I haven't done these type of readings before, so they're quite substantial. Anyway, exploration, intuition. Well, that goes hand in hand, doesn't it? You have decisions to make, or you have a decision to make. Some of you might be working in the computer programming or in a programming field, and life is taking you in a different direction. For some of you, I see this different direction is shown to me as music. Perhaps you are going to express yourself through music somehow, which is interesting because computer programming and music, well, one is very left brain, although there has to be some right brain activity, and one is very right brained. Doesn't mean you don't use your left brain, but to the capacity to which you express yourself is changing. And I want to say for some of you, it's going to feel like alarmingly so. It's like other people are going to look at you and they're going to say, what's happening to you? You're not yourself. In fact, what's happening is you are embodying more of your true self. So it's indicated to me that you are moving out of a shadow-based living and you are moving into light. So what that really means to me is that you are moving out of your own shadow confinement in order to step into this new, for some people, alarming path. There's an indication here being made that literally some people are going to say that you're stupid, that you're a fool. Why are you leaving this behind? You have it so good and you're doing this. How does that make sense? Similar message to pile number 1. Your job is to make them make sense for them. Your job is to make it make sense for you. If it makes sense and if it speaks to the core of what you believe about yourself. And they're saying to me, you're triumphant in this, which means if you follow your heart, even though it may seem absolutely ludicrous to some people, you are to trust this intuition. And that's not always an easy thing to do, because if what you are leaving represents a substantial chunk of your 3D stability, then yes, you're potentially taking a risk. But this risk is worth taking. Now, of course, don't rely on this message to tell you what to do. This is simply an indication that this might be something that's happening in your life. And if you've been wondering, if you've been questioning, and now this message comes across your screen and basically solidifies what you already know, then that's the message for you. Okay? Trusting your intuition is very important. On the other hand, if you question a lot, know that you are questioning based on your current restricting beliefs. Okay? If you didn't have those current restrictive beliefs in chakra number 2 and chakra number 3, in primarily ego, okay? If you didn't have the inadequacy issues that many people have, if those were blurred out of your who you are, you wouldn't be questioning. Okay? So know that when you are questioning is because you're being triggered and certain fears are triggering you. Okay? I hear, I'm not supposed to do this. There is no supposed to. There is no supposed to. You're supposed to be your magnificent, unique self. So if you've been doing something for a very long time that really isn't true to you, or maybe it's not true anymore, maybe it just doesn't feel like your heart is in it. And if it's ultimately making you feel unhappy and unfulfilled, this other thing is coming around in order to grab your attention and say, hey, there's another opportunity here for you to express yourself differently, but it means you need to let go of the old. And again, if that is connected to your safety, stability, that your fears will absolutely be triggered. No question about it. Okay? Also, in those moments when our fears are being triggered, it is sometimes difficult to hear our intuition or understand our intuition because the fear voice is so loud, so it often mutes down the quiet voice of our intuition. And intuition doesn't generally hit you over the head with something. Well, if you're not listening, eventually that's what might happen. But initially, your intuition is very quiet. Okay? And your fears are very loud. It's a very loud noise. Your intuition also feels warmer, softer. Your fears feel very analytical, very dry, very cut, very, very, very sharp. So this is perhaps one of the ways that you will recognize what's your intuition and what's your fear. And your shadow, your fear, is going to drown that intuitive voice. So the best way to ensure that you are in connection to and hearing your own voice is through some sort of contemplation or meditation, just exactly as she's doing. And she is contemplating if the door that's presented to her is the door she wants to open. It's up to her. In fact, thank you. They're saying it's up to her now. It's up to you now. It's up to you now how you live your world. Perhaps up until this point, you have been really living your world, living your life according to other people's views. Everyone has their own views. And they were not aligned with your views, but you followed it anyway because it was the safe thing to do. You are shifting gears now. Okay? And your responsibility is always to yourself first. I don't care how many responsibilities we have to who and to what. Your responsibility always goes to you first. Why? Because without you, you don't have a life. There is no life as seen through your unique eyes. Okay? You always have to look after yourself first and foremost. Yes, compromise sometimes becomes necessary. But if you're selling your soul, if you will, for the exchange of money only, then I guarantee you are never going to feel like a satisfied and whole person, because you are not satisfying another aspect of you that wants to feel expressed and be expressed. And you're shifting gears now. So I'm kind of excited for you. And I just heard this is a permanent solution to your problems. You shifting gears is a permanent solution to your problems. And then the image I see is unhappiness moving into happiness. So if your problems have to do with you being unhappy, this shift, this changing of gear, shifting of gear is much more aligned with happiness. Okay, but you have to stop looking towards the past and in turn instead tune into your future. Our fears always rest in our past. They're not from the future, they're from the past. We're just projecting them to our future. Okay? Shadow work, again, very important. Shine. Are you kidding me? Okay. Step into the light. You are a gift to the world. Step into the light. You're a gift to the world. You are about to step on an enlightened path, whatever that means to you. And the universe is conspiring for you in order for you to create that for yourself. You are being divinely guided. Don't stop yourself from living fully because of somebody else's fears that were projected onto you. Okay? Because they never belonged to you in the first place. They were projected onto you. And then you own them and now you have them. So it's your job to release yourself from whatever that is in terms of what's limiting you, what's making you feel fearful and making you keep staying in a fearful state of mind, because that ultimately draws lack, L-A-C-K, into your life. It does not draw happiness. Okay? So this message coupled with shine, you're the gift to the world. Didn't I tell you that you're unique? Didn't I tell you that? The universe is going to conspire in order to help you express your uniqueness. Your job, however, is to take a step forward in order to do just that. If you're feeling unhappy, if you're not happy and you've been requesting from the universe to bring you more into alignment with who you're wanting to be, then this opportunity, likely an opportunity, is going to present itself where that is exactly what's happening. In other words, the universe has been listening to you It has done its part. Now what are you going to do? Are you going to say, oh, no, sorry, I was just kidding? You could. Or you're going to say, damn, I've asked for it, now I need to face it. And at the end of the day, it's still your choice. You don't have to do anything. But if an opportunity is being presented to you, especially the one that you've been asking and praying for, then that's telling you something. That's world telling you something, isn't it? Well, you've asked for it, you wanted it, here you go. And the only thing that's going to stop you from fully expressing yourself in that way, whatever that way is for you, whatever that means for you, you will never fully express your own individuality and your gift to the world if you keep holding on to your fears, if you keep projecting your own shadows into your future. I just got ringing in my ear, so you might have a ringing in your ear, which essentially to me is like ding, 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 got the message. Okay, pile number 2, that's what I had for you. Okay, pile number 3, let's see what we have for you. By the way, if you haven't yet got the 2023 predictions, most of them are over an hour long. They're extraordinarily deep transmissions to help you literally come out of your shadows, and to help you express the unique you that you are. If you haven't gotten any, there's a link down below. Thank you for those of you who have already purchased them and give me so many amazing comments. It just validates my work for me. Yeah, I think you'll find them extraordinarily helpful. Okay, pile number 3, let's see what we've got. We've got the light. So what I'm getting here is that you're kind of ho-hum right now. It's not that you're not at your best, is that things could be better, but they're not. And you're not really sure what to do about it. What they're saying to me is that the frequency is shifting right now, and this higher frequency will allow you to move out of your own way. But you need to be able to allow it. What does that mean? They're saying, what does that mean? Well, for one, start practicing more stillness, or start practicing more of being still. Because you need to reorganize your thoughts, because you have a tremendous propensity to invalidating yourself. And if you think that you're on this earth for no reason, you could not be more wrong. Don't know who that message is for? That's the message they want me to say. You couldn't be more wrong. There's absolutely a reason for you being here. So if you keep telling yourself out loud in your mind, consciously or unconsciously, that I don't matter. Oh, I just don't matter. I'm just me. Stop giving yourself permission to keep yourself small. You're not supposed to be small. Don't you remember? You're supposed to express your bigness. Now, how big you express yourself, that depends on you. The bigger you express yourself, the bigger more you allow yourself to express, the happier you will be. That's the question to your answers. What do I do about my unhappiness? Shift the way you see yourself. Look at your programming. Don't give yourself the opportunity to fail. Not sure what that means, but don't give yourself the opportunity to fail. Although there's no such thing as failure. Failure is something we experience, but we don't learn from. That's a failure. That's a wasted experience. Don't waste your experiences by looking at them as something that's unimportant. Every experience is very important, including the experience you are having right now. So the universe is validating your experience right now. Whatever it is that you are feeling, whatever it is that you are questioning, you are valid in that. You are valid in doing so. That's how it wants to come out of my mouth. You are valid in that. It matters. It matters the way you feel. It matters the way you see yourself. It matters the way your thoughts are organized within you, because that is how you express yourself, or you will limit yourself. But it all matters. In fact, the message truly is pile number 3. You matter. Hate to tell you, you matter. And because you matter, it also means that you're important. When was the last time you felt like you mattered? When was the last time you felt like you mattered to yourself? When was the last time you felt important to you? You are important to other people. There's no question about that. In fact, sometimes you're too important to other people. They rely way too much on you than on themselves. And if this is you, if you are someone who other people over rely on, then there is a message in that for you. Because it'll feel like you're always pulled in a certain direction and you don't really want to, but you feel like you can't say no and you're feeling obligated, but there's something untrue about it for you. There's a resistance there. So if there's a resistance, then you know something, some shadow is at work. I just heard, why do you engage with people who always need you all the time? Are you someone who attracts needy people? If that's the case, that's a very important experience for you to learn from. Why do I do that? Why do I attract people who suck me dry? Here's the question. Why do you allow it? Why do you allow yourself to be drained by others? You're not doing it consciously. Fair. But if something drains you and you keep going back to it, if you keep recreating similar circumstances, and you keep doing it knowing that it drains you, then you are now purposely and choicefully engaging in that experience. Does that make you happy? Does it make you happy to be so relied on? And we all rely on other people, no question, but this is broaching on over-reliance. So it's either some people over-rely on you or you over-rely on other people. Okay? There's no stability in that, because overdoing something is absolutely not sustainable. It does not last forever. Okay? You cannot sustain being over-relied on. It'll suck you dry. Something is going to give. Something has to give, because it's not a balanced equation. Okay? If you are the one drawing needy people to yourself, you ask the question, why do I allow it? What part of me within me is attracting these people into my life? What is this experience trying to show me about me? Perhaps there's a part of you that feels undervalued, and in order to experience feeling valued, perhaps you need to be needed. And if that's okay, if that's the case, acknowledge that. It's absolutely okay, but acknowledge it. Here's why: because that's shadow at work. And shadow limits your expression. It limits who you truly are. It limits what you can become. It limits what you create and how you show up in life. If you have a need of being needed, then that means you equate with being needed with love. It's a condition. Okay? And if that's what you believe on a subconscious level that it takes to be loved, then you are absolutely going to have people over relying on you so that you can keep feeding your ego value. That's how shadow works. This is not a logical thing, although once you open that up, it absolutely makes so much sense. The mind is just, oh, I can't get enough of it. So this over-reliance for pile number 3, there is something there to digest for you. Okay? There's some part of this message that you might want to look at. And it may not be easy to look at. Okay? Shadows generally are not easy to look at. That's why we repress them. That's why we suppress them. That's why we want nothing to do with them. That's why. Don't be afraid to face your shadow. Go back to the recording at the very beginning and hear me read the channeled material about expressing your uniqueness and facing your shadows. This is your opportunity to free yourself now. From being unhappy to being more happy. From feeling unstable to feeling more stable. From feeling inadequacy to feeling inner love. Love towards yourself. This is your commitment to yourself right now. To make yourself feel whole without relying on that from other people. Because remember, may I? You are more than enough just as you are. Problem is you don't believe it and you don't see it. Maybe you don't want to see it. Why wouldn't you want to see it? Well, because it keeps you perpetuating in this shadowland. And that's where you're comfortable. You've done it for so many years. Heck, it has been ancestral for many of you. It's okay. It's okay. Everything is beautiful. There's nothing wrong with that. But acknowledge it. Bring that shadow aspect into your awareness so that you can then realize that you can do something about it. Especially because if other people over-reliance on you makes you tired, angry, repressed, suppressed, if it takes you out of your own balance, then it's ultimately not serving your highest good. It is serving you in terms of holding you back, but it's not serving you to be more of who you are, to experience more of your potential. You are exponentially more than what you are experiencing right now. And over-reliance in some way, if you are being the one people over-rely on, then that means, for many, this is how you experience being loved. You are loved regardless of what you do or don't do, my darling. The universe doesn't care what you do. The universe supports you in who you are. And who you are will affect your doing and your being. So if you are negatively impacted or affected by your shadows, then wouldn't it make sense for you to look at a shadow so that at least you can have a choice whether you hold yourself back or whether you allowed yourself to fly? At least do it consciously. Do it because you can, not because it's happening to you. Deep shadow work, pile number 3, as I would say for all piles. By the way, if I haven't said so before, shadow is my playground. It's my Disneyland. I can talk about shadows and probably just bore people to death. That's when I know that I am expressing my genius, and everyone is a genius. That's how I know when I'm expressing my uniqueness. Time flies. I am just full on with it. Okay? You have that within you. Harmony, yin and yang. What this is saying to me is that you are experiencing life as a result of your own inner imbalance. Okay, so this is a component of yin and the yang. So for a tarot reader, this represents lovers. This could be communicating that there is some much needed conversation needing to happen between two people. Collaboration could be within relationship, and some honest evaluation of one's own inner environment and outer environment. Okay, because the idea behind yin and yang is the expression of both the positive and the negative, the yin and the yang, the female and the masculine and the feminine. And if you are living in your shadowland, if your shadow is what drives you, then you will limit either your feminine, your creative nature, or your masculine nature. You will basically be shorting yourself. Now, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to short yourself if you could have a whole experience? Okay. They just said, your life is not for sale. Your life is your commitment. I'd love for you to let me know what that means to you. Life is not for sale. Your life is not for sale. Your life is your commitment. Let me know what you feel that means to you. That's very interesting. Okay, let's see, what else are we saying here? There is some heart chakra healing being indicated here in order to balance out those two aspects of you, the feminine and the masculine, in order to live in harmony, in order to express both to its full capacity, to your fullest potential. You have to look at how you are suppressing your own individual needs and how that affects your ability to give and receive love. Okay? Because we are both givers and receivers. Oftentimes we overgive and don't receive, or we only take and don't give. Okay? There's an imbalance in that. Whichever way we go, it's because we're operating out of a shadow. We're not operating from plenty, we're operating from lack. Okay? So if you're experiencing some lack in your life, and this lack is a repeating pattern, then it is important for you to face this shadow of lack in your mind and your body, because you are holding yourself your own prisoner. You're holding yourself prisoner. You're your own prisoner. And you can release yourself from this imprisonment. Most people experience inner imprisonment. It's a shadow aspect. You can't escape this imprisonment. It's not like from a jail you can escape. And I could go on and on about that, but you can leave it behind. Okay? You don't have to escape it, you can leave it behind. Which means if you're escaping it, there is still an element of fear involved. If you're walking out, it's your own volition, which means you are making a conscious choice. You are choosing. You are choosing to leave the prison behind. That's much more empowering than running away or than escaping. Much more empowering. Okay? Okay. Don't let your shadows bite you in the ass. I will let you interpret what that message is. What this is saying to me is that the more you try to run away from your problems, the more they're going to bite you in the ass. Why? Because you can't run away from your problems. Your problems are not on the outside. Your problems are on the inside. It's how you are experiencing and looking at the problem. Okay? A problem is only a problem because you see it as a problem. The moment you shift your focus, the moment you shift your perspective and you no longer see it as a problem, it's no longer a problem. And there is a solution. Right there is a solution. What's the solution to your problem? Don't see it as a problem. See it as an ability to choose something different. Okay? So whatever you're facing right now, if you're terming it as a problem, it's only a problem because you see it as a problem. Yes, it's easier said than done. Whoever said that to me, thank you very much. But you didn't come here because you thought life was going to be easy. So we know that already. And choosing, sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes we have to make a choice out of choices that we don't prefer, either or. But we still have to choose. And not choosing is choosing. Not choosing is choosing. Okay? I just heard, you're here for a reason, you're not here to float. I don't even know how to interpret that. Floating, I guess, just like it's, whatever. Not that there is anything wrong with that, I don't believe. But the message to you is, pile number 3, you didn't come here to float. You came here for a reason. Okay? And a reason has a certain flow to it. It has a direction. So if you're feeling directionless right now, the question you might want to ask yourself, if I would create my own direction, what would I choose this direction to be? How would I choose to experience it? In other words, by asking this question, you are beginning to create something different for yourself, because you're bringing it into your awareness. You're bringing to your awareness that there is another way, there is another path, there is another opportunity or possibility. But if you do not give yourself that choice, then it's not going to happen. So pile number 3, this is about making choices and decisions and kind of weaving and bobbing and hoping that you won't have to make a choice or decision. You can continue to try to evade making the choice or decision, but eventually it's going to hit you on the head. That's what they're showing me. Okay. So if you have a decision to make or choice to make it from an empowered position. Make it from your empowered state. Make it from your empowered aspect, not the one that's afraid. And that's not always easy to do, because we have to weave through what's true, what's not true for us, what's fear, what's intuition. I talked about that. So choices and decisions, pile number 3, and you can't evade it. It's you got a choice or decision to make. Okay. Last but not least, pray. Okay. I am open and receptive to the power of grace in my life now. I ask to be shown clear examples of how this energy is operating in my life. Okay. Maybe you've been asking for what you want. And maybe the universe has listened. It's a similar message to pile number 2. And lo and behold, whatever you've been asking for is presenting itself to you, but you have to meet it halfway. It's not just going to come to you and grab you by your hair and say, okay, here's a new circumstance. No, it's what you are choosing or not choosing is voluntary. You either choose or not choose. That's how it wants to come across, voluntary, which means it's coming out of your own volition. Choosing or not choosing is out of your own volition versus choosing out of fear. Okay? Again, fear, shadow, working and understanding shadows in order to release shadows or transform shadows. That's what it's all about right now. So pile number 3, that was a beautiful message. Excited for you. These things are always very interesting. may feel like the world is shaking a little bit, not physically, God forbid, but it's just, it feels solid. It feels really good. So that's what I have for you, pile number 3. Again, if you would like a session with me, that information is down below. If you would like to have the 2023 predictions for 2023 for each zodiac sign, that information is also down below, and they're packed with tools, information, and really good insights as to what's going to transpire over the next year or so. Thank you again so much. I look forward to your comments, and have a beautiful day. Take care. Bye-bye.